All right, can you guys hear me all right? Cool, okay. Oh, waiting for me to get set. Right, this on. All right, so I'm Joe Scarpetta. I'm the owner of the Scarpetta Group, and I'm going to give you a quick overview of Jarvis today. And we're just going to jump right in. So I only have 3 quick slides, and then we're going to jump in. So who's Jarvis for, and why did we build it? So the backstory to Jarvis is the name actually came from a beta that I was doing in Dreamweaver when I realized in the company that I needed a solution to start from about 7 years ago, so that we had a solid code base to continue to move things forward. So I started building this and then released it out within the company as Jarvis, and we just, when we started talking, well, what are we going to name it? We put it out publicly, we left it, and so it's been Jarvis since. I've been referring to it as Jarvis CRM up until this past year because it's really the whole business suite. You manage your customers, your contacts, your whole sales pipeline, all the way through the sales process. You'll manage your projects. It's got an HR module, it's got calendaring, so it's a very complete solution. But it was developed and designed in a way for me selfishly a lot of times, so because we run the company off of it, so as the new versions are coming out, you'll see some features, it's like, I want them, or project managers have wanted them. But we've designed it so that onboarding is very easy. So if you're familiar with Anchor Buoy or have any consistency with naming conventions, I can take any developer that has any time frame that they've been in the solution and get them in and working and building something within days. And feel very comfortable about it. And I'll show you a little bit behind the scenes today as well. The other part of the development was around consumers. A lot of our customers over the years, what we found is they keep wanting the same thing. So the things that are going into Jarvis are what the average person is wanting from a business in order to continue to grow and evolve there. So by putting these things in the application, when I put out a quote to a customer, if Jarvis is the right fit for a starting point, it's significantly less than if we build from scratch. And we've got years then, so we've got 6 years of continually updating Jarvis. So one of the things that we do every year is that I go back through the application, look at what's in there, look at the new version of FileMaker as we're getting our sneak peeks, and decide where we can improve it so that it never becomes an old application. Because that's key to me. Jarvis is version 6, but it's not a 6-year-old application. We've been continually moving things forward with different techniques. So we rewrite scripts sometimes every year, like when the JSON came out, we went from the old XML script parameter passing to passing parameters as JSON and came up with some neat techniques. I'll show you some today. But we really wanted to build something for consumers where it hits the 90% for the average business, so that as they're going in and getting into an application, they could use it right out of the box and go. And then it could be customized in there. From a developer perspective, we do have an affiliate program, so if you're interested in reselling, come see me afterwards. It's a very, very good process that we have. From the, lost my thought, I'm sorry. On the consumer side though, then we've got it, we have been working with it with the SBA, but it's been so many customizations, we're continually moving forward in that respect. All right, so what all does it do? I've tried to list some of the features, but if I really did it, I'd have like 12 more slides. So these are just a quick highlight of everything that's in there. The major new features that went in this version, we built up the rest of the sales pipeline and the opportunity module. We integrated with a tool called SendGrid, which is like MailChimp, but it does some additional things where you're doing domain validations with them, and you'll send your email through their service as yourself, but because of these validations they're doing, you have a 99.9% delivery rate on your email and not landing in spam. So there's some really cool things that we've done there. And we're fully integrated to QuickBooks Online. And as part of that, then we don't charge additional for that. It's all part of the service. We just include that. It's fully unlocked. All right, so unless you guys want more slides, I'm done with the slides. So so when you log in for the day, it's very important for you to know for your job purposes, what am I doing today? What's in front of me? So we have the calendar component in the middle that'll show you your day. We can sync this calendar we're using Zulu, sync this to your Outlook or to your Google Calendars. We can see our quick task projects. We have a little task filter down here in the bottom corner. So we can kind of see what we have as far as what's coming up. I can quick add a calendar event. We're at the mercy of this really fast internet today. So we can plug in here. So this is an all new module to this. We had the calendar before, but it was a much simplified version of this. So we're using the card window now to be able to take in and add different additional data. So I can set my demo, I can add people to this. Some quick interfaces, come on. So I can add contacts, employees. And do some quick filtering on these lists. And come back, they're here. If I want to have this become a Zoom meeting, I check that box. Once I check that box, I click save, it runs to Zoom, grabs the information, comes back, creates an ICS file, and then emails everybody in that list, just as you would normally do without having to gather that information. So put it on internal calendars for internal people, and it'll run out to as expected. All right, I'm gonna hit cancel because I don't want to take up any more bandwidth than I need right now. So I have the task module. And one of the things we did with this version from the last is that we updated some of our icons and some of the boxes to make the data a little bit, one of the trends in design is to make things bigger and bolder. So we didn't want to go too far with it, but we wanted to stay kind of on the leading edge. So we've got the filters at the top. We've got some new icons on the side. So if you look like the top ones here, I should have grabbed my pointer. These are projects, these are CRM based, and these are internal, so I can create different types of tasks and have everything be in my list for what I need to do. On our task, if we have, I have to keep going back and forth with the glasses, I'm sorry. Let me find a CRM based one here quick. It's recent. And just grab one here. When I edit a task, if my outcome was something such as left message, and I create a next step of call back, set a date. When I mark this complete, two things happen. It completes the task, or three things happen. The task gets completed, a new task gets created that goes to that next date, and an activity gets logged that event occurred. So we have this activities port where we're logging all these things for a salesperson so that we know how the salespeople are performing, what they've done, and all the metrics behind, you know, how many emails did they send to that customer to get that opportunity or get that quote or sell and close that deal, how many phone calls occurred. We could add other metrics to that if you wanted to. If you're integrated to Slack, we can push this out to a Slack reminder if this is important enough, or I can drop this on my calendar as well. And I can create new tasks from this window. One of the things that we've really worked on over the years, even especially since we've won the award for the design, is maintaining that consistency and continually bringing and evolving the design forward. So like I talked about, we've got these little windows here with some more details. When we pull those out, they look much better than the charts we had last year. But we're trying to maintain our consistency, and that this left panel, the data is protected, and that comes from my roughly 22 years of working with FileMaker, where I've watched plenty of users forget they're in find mode and start typing over stuff, or create records, or you're on that first record in the company's table and somebody typed over the company name. So we want to protect that data so we can make sure that never happens. So on every record, that left panel is what we consider to be the absolute most important data, that if something happened to it, that would be destructive to the record and the data. So when I click edit and go into this edit mode, First of all, it's the only place I can delete or make someone inactive. Generally, it would say inactive if you have any records attached. So you can't delete someone from the system, so you can maintain that full history. When I click that, we run to another layout in the system, and we see what fields are on that layout for that record, and we write them all to a JSON data string. And in that, we're including modification creation dates. So if I hit cancel, if I start making changes, change my mind, hit cancel, I write it back like it never happened. That doesn't change the sync and the update behind the scenes in FileMaker for changing record counts, but we're not changing the actual data. And that's in preface to a future feature where we'll have a full-blown audit logging system in here with recovery and things like that. When I hit save, it changes the data and does as you expect. And that's the same on every layout. On the top right, you've got your little avatar for who you are. And that'll always, if you click that, you'll always come back here to your record directly. These are the major features for myself as a user, what I can do as things that are attached to me. So I can create additional tasks, create appointments like you saw. Any of the My things will go to a list view, filter to open or active items for those things. We've got time logging in here. How am I doing on time? So we've got timesheets in here. These will filter by days just by clicking on it, view all. I can add a new entry quickly, and then as we're doing that, we can choose a project, and we can choose a task on a project. So we can actually log time and roll it back up, see how we're performing on a project to make sure all that's occurring. And then we can submit it. A lot of times we're adding on to what we've been done for the day, so we could duplicate the line quickly. It'll pick up all that project information and carry on from there. Card windows have simplified the data structure in here significantly because that whole menu on this top right is on every single layout. So I can have all those actions occur from there. And this other neat trick that James developed was that we're reading the script parameters. It's my brother James, he does some stuff for us. I know that was good. We've done that in such a way like where I was able to paste it up. I can copy and paste that menu throughout the entire solution because we're reading the parameters, the script parameters off the layout. I don't have to update script parameters from where I'm at. We're reading them off of object names. So let me show you that really quick. So in that, what we have on the right side of the layouts, we have this little bar in there, and the fields that are important to us will have object names of the keys that we're reading. So we'll just, what we might change, this will change layouts, we'll change what field it's being associated with on the layout. So any of these parameters then, it'll get object name and then write it to that parameter or build it into a JSON string so we can use it further on down the road. So we can minimize errors and do quick updates to some of these scripts. All right. Navigation, we have an area in the back in settings that controls what you can see on this menu. We've added in a scorecard, so at the user level I can see a sales scorecard. That if I click the scorecard button there or the one I just clicked, I should have stuck with the user, it'll pull up the company scorecard. So this is, what are my company stats today? What's in my pipeline? How am I doing sales-wise across all my salespeople? What are my top opportunities? Phone calls, prospects, et cetera. So I can get that company health snapshot that the CEO is always looking for in a mouse click. So you're not having to go dig through Excel and write those reports that we've all had to in the past. All right, let's take a look at opportunities. This was the module that I insisted had to make it in here in order to actually call this a new version. So when a contact gets created in the system, we've got a little part in there for qualification, so you could quick vet and say, yeah, they're a viable prospect. But the next step in the sales process generally is creating the opportunity and moving forward. We've taken some of the best things of what we've done with other customers throughout the years, and we've kind of flowed through this process so we can track, what their source is, their lead scores, you know, the discovery process, when to start, and so we can see and gather other metrics on there, like, you know, how many days active is this opportunity? Is the salesperson taking too long with this? Are they missing tasks? You know, what % likely is it to close? Because then those are the ones you want to focus on. The tasks that you're seeing here are actually coming from a template in the back that you can control. So you can add additional discovery tasks or recommend tasks, and then how many days out they should occur. So you can control when this gets created, how they all flow into the system. And the tasks are managed the same. If I click one of these tasks, it'll pop up the same card window to that found task, so I can work the same on all my tasks, regardless of where I'm at. We have a full notes module, so if you want to keep track of notes, we have formatted text in our notes. We've added this little important, so if it's really important, so you can flag this. If you want to link a file, you drag and drop it. If there's additional contacts from that company that might be part of this opportunity, we can link them here so we can keep everybody involved. And then we break down the discovery process, the recommend process. And a lot of times in this, we're just determining in some of these discovery meetings when we get into this recommend, what products and services are going to work for someone. So as I'm adding products to here, when I create a quote, it's picking these products up, because at that point, we're not caring about quantities and pricing, we're just caring about what might be a good fit for them. When it pulls over to the quote, then it's created all of those items. And I can quick hot link. Everything's designed so I'm not spending a lot of time searching. I think you realize I'm not spending a lot of time typing. Everything's meant to click and jump and go back. So I can quick see here, then I've got my pricing, and I can pick that up. And if that customer had been a customer for a while and we had custom pricing set up for them, that information would have flowed into here and worked out for them. All of this structure in this as well for any of these items are structured around accounting systems and QuickBooks specifically, so that we can link and work with other systems with the data normalization. Again, I can go right back to that opportunity in a click, back to my recommend, and then I've got my closing information at this point. When this is one, I can close, I can click create close. We'll jump right into a sales order and create projects. I'll quick show you project. And this one. So on projects, I can see who's my team on here. I get some stats on what task statuses are, the general information on the overall project. I can plan for risk at the risk assessment here. James updated this year, so we can choose and add resources that can be vendors, employees, or contacts in the system. On the expenses, any time that's been logged to this will show up here. We've got reporting based around that information. Actions will be any activities or emails that rolled through. And I'm going to open the Gantt. I've been getting a weird error since we've been here, and that'll go away. So on my Gantt chart, I can build out a full task list on here. Everything works graphically here, drag and drop. But what's really cool is if I built this out, this is my perfect project plan, I want to use this forever, is we've already accounted for that. So we can save this. That's my warning to make sure I save my stuff. And I can save this as a template. So I can save that, and the next time I create a project, I can go pick that template. Back in the settings area of the system, I can actually go through and then plug in some information on different days and how far things should occur, so that next time I know if I start this project on this date, these things should occur in this order and this far out. If I assign roles to it, it'll pick up the person's roles from the resources and pre-assign people all the way through the project to minimize the data entry to get your work off and moving. Behind the scenes as a developer, we're following pretty strict anchor buoy with a couple slight caveats if you're a big anchor buoy person. We used to have a table in between that it was part of last year where I talked about a bridge and everything was connected to a bridge, and it was an interim step to simplify and pull things together in the database with connected preferences. We've now written that data up into global variables on launch, and we've restructured how the charts were loading in the system, so we no longer needed that. So it's resulted in about a 20% performance improvement by ripping that out of here. In general, you'll never find the table width going more than 4 deep. It's very rare to see it more than 3. But where we changed in structure with Anchor Buoy says for every table you build a tog for itself. And I don't believe in that anymore. I stopped believing in that years ago, because when I went through the graph, I was able to reduce it by about 60% in some cases by taking an explicit child record like invoice line items and starting that as its first occurrence and linking it directly to the parent record and leaving it that way, and then starting over here with this INL that branches out this way. So that anytime I see a 3-character abbreviation on a table, I know that's the first occurrence of that table, and if it's connected to a parent, then that's where it belongs, and that's where it's getting used. So it keeps the graph very lean. And then I can do all my reporting out of there. On a field, we use underscores in our keys. I know those hardcore SQL people hate that, but I've always used that model, and it's worked very well for us. We work around it. We make sure things are flowing properly. We've got some of the other conventions in there, but pretty much everything is lowercase with underscores. So it's very developer friendly. On a scripting side, all scripts are simply documented. Different steps are set out and documented further. You find one of these task ones. Task create. And this is what I was talking about earlier, where we're getting the object attributes off of the layout. So we're setting these variables based off the object variables, like when I'm creating a task or an appointment, and that's how we're maintaining and keeping things really simple then for allowing things to be very modular for us and grow very quickly. If we had a new module like opportunities, then we just have to go in and drop one line in there, and it just flows to the rest of the system and it's done. Back out of here. And then again, we're using JSON to pass all our parameters. It's just a much cleaner and faster way to do all of that. All right. Does anybody have anything specific? I know I'm running out of time. Does anybody have anything specific they want to see or any questions? Yes. So on the iPhone, there's companies, contacts, tasks, and activities. So it will work on the iPhone as well. Yes. Yes. It's HTML. Yeah, it is. Yep, it's HTML. Right now it's running through PHP. We've got a process, we're going to be able to migrate this. So even if you bought this and deployed it today, it'll all work with the data API very soon. Getting that separate? Possible, we've had people ask for it. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Yes. Yeah, it's been very handy for a lot of stuff. Okay. All right. Other questions? All right. If you want to come by the booth, because I know I'm out of time, feel free to stop by, and I'll be able to take you through it further. Catch us for a demo afterwards. James had a handful of T-shirts left from last year. He's going to kind of randomly throw those out to you guys. Thank you very much for your time today.